chosen one. They are fighting over you. Someone just said you are the one. Stop. Don't skip this. Because what just happened around you is not normal. Someone didn't just think about you. Someone didn't just remember you. They said something about you out loud that shifted how others see you. And the strange part? You're not even fully aware you're in the center of it yet. If you turn away now, you may miss a turning point that was meant to change everything for you. Stay with this because what I am revealing will explain what has been happening and what is about to unfold in your life. Type Amen to affirm. You are not imagining the tension you have been feeling. There is a shift in motion around your life, and it did not begin by accident. It started at the moment something about you became impossible to ignore, when your presence began to carry weight in places that used to overlook you. Something about you is now being recognized, and that recognition is what is creating movement. This is why things around you have not felt stable, why certain doors feel like they respond differently than before, some opening faster than expected, others closing without clear reason. Why some people feel closer than usual, while others quietly step back without explanation. It is not random. It is not coincidence. It is timing. Because what you carry is no longer staying unnoticed. And once that begins to surface, life around you starts responding to it before you fully understand why. Before you go any further, take a moment and show your faith by liking this video, because what you are hearing right now is not ordinary, and it deserves your attention and agreement. And what you need to understand is this. This is not something that is happening around you by accident, and it is not something you are meant to simply observe and ignore. Because when shifts like this begin, they are not just about what is changing externally. They are about what is being prepared within you at the same time. And if you stay distracted by trying to over-explain everything you feel right now, you will miss what is actually forming underneath it. There are moments where life does not ask you to react immediately. It asks you to become aware. Because what is unfolding will not make full sense in the moment it is happening. It only becomes clear when you are already standing inside the next version of your life. Type 111 if you believe in Jesus. You may not have said it out loud, but I have seen the weight you have been carrying in silence. Not the obvious struggles others can notice, but the quiet ones you try to ignore when no one is watching. The kind that sits behind your thoughts when everything looks normal on the outside, yet something inside you does not fully settle. You have been moving through your days, but not fully rooted in them. And I want you to understand something clearly. This is not confusion in you. This is awareness that has not fully formed into language yet. That is why it feels strange. That is why you cannot explain it properly, even to yourself. Because there is a part of you that has already begun to shift, but your mind has not caught up to it yet. And in that gap, you feel tension. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something inside you is no longer staying the same. You keep trying to return to how you used to feel, but that version of you is already beginning to loosen its hold. And what you are sensing now is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. And I want you to notice something carefully. The things that used to feel stable in your emotions are not responding the same way anymore. Old reactions don't feel as natural as they used to. Old distractions don't fully satisfy you the way they once did. Even the things you used to run to for comfort feel slightly distant now. And you may have thought this was confusion, but it is not confusion. It is adjustment. Because when something within you begins to change, everything that was built around the old version of you starts to feel less fitting. Not because it was wrong, but because it is no longer aligned with what you are stepping into. That is why certain things feel like they are slipping away without clear reason. And that is also why certain things are beginning to feel unexpectedly closer than before. Nothing is random in that. It is recalibration. You have been wondering why things have not been simple for you. You have questioned why your path feels more intense than others. You have even had moments where you thought something was wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. You are being prepared. When someone said you are the one, it was not just a statement. It was a recognition of the role you are meant to step into. And that role carries weight, responsibility, and power. I have been with you through every moment of doubt. I have seen every tear that you tried to hide. I have heard every silent prayer that you thought went unnoticed. And I am telling you now that nothing you have gone through has been wasted. Every challenge has been shaping you. Every delay has been positioning you. Every rejection has been redirecting you towards something greater. There are people who are trying to figure you out right now. They are watching how you move, how you speak, how you respond. Some are trying to support you, while others are trying to find ways to stop you. But none of them can override what I have already decided. When I choose someone, no human opinion can cancel that choice. When I place a calling on your life, no opposition can erase it. You have felt moments where you almost gave up. You have felt moments where you wanted to walk away from everything and just be left alone. But something inside you would not let you quit. That was not your own strength. That was me holding you steady. That was me reminding you that you are not ordinary, and your life is not meant to follow an ordinary path. The reason they are fighting over you is because you are valuable. Not in a way the world measures, but in a way that carries eternal significance. You carry influence even when you are quiet. You carry light even when you feel dim. You carry purpose even when you feel lost. And this is why you have been targeted, tested, and stretched. I am asking you to stay aware in this season. Pay attention to what you feel and what you sense. Do not ignore the shifts happening around you. There are changes taking place that will soon become visible. You are being moved into a new position, and it will require you to trust me more than you ever have before. You will need to stand firm even when things do not make sense. You are not alone in this. I am protecting you even when you do not see it. I am guiding you even when you feel uncertain. I am opening doors that no one can close and closing doors that no one can force open. You may not understand the timing, but everything is unfolding exactly as it should. That stirring is alignment. I am drawing you closer to who you were always meant to be. And this process is what makes everything feel unfamiliar. There are moments when you sense that something is about to change. Even if you cannot explain how or when, you carry a quiet anticipation that does not come from your mind, but from your spirit. This is because you are approaching a turning point that has been prepared long before you recognized it. Every step you have taken, even the ones that felt like mistakes, has been leading you here. Nothing has been random. Nothing has been wasted. You are walking into something that has your name written on it. Type 777 if you trust in Jesus. Let's make this real. There are moments in life when your presence stops being neutral to people, not because you are louder or more visible, but because something about how people respond to you begins to shift without warning. You either become irrelevant in their internal map of priorities or unavoidable in how they think, speak, and react. And right now, you are moving into the second category. That's why certain patterns around you have started to feel different. Conversations about you don't stay where they used to. Things you said or did in passing suddenly come back up in other discussions. People mention your name where they used to stay silent or ask questions they never asked before. At the same time, something else is happening quietly. People who once had no reaction toward you are now taking longer pauses before responding to you. Some are observing you more than they speak to you. Others are revisiting their assumptions about who you are without telling you directly. And it shows up in subtle ways. Delayed replies that feel more intentional than careless sudden distance from people who were once casually present, unexpected reappearance of individuals who previously stepped away, and a shift in tone when people speak to you, even if the words haven't changed much. Not because you changed overnight, but because your value in other people's perception is shifting faster than your external results. And when that happens, the environment around you starts to reorganize itself in response. Some people try to get closer to understand what is changing. Some distance themselves because they cannot clearly categorize you anymore. And others start talking, not because they have clarity, but because uncertainty makes people look for a definition before silence fills in the gap. Not because they understand you, but because they are trying to lock you into a version of you they can mentally process before you fully step into whatever is forming next. You thought silence meant nothing was happening. Wrong. Silence often means things are forming where you cannot yet see the structure of it. There are moments in life where progress does not announce itself with movement. It begins with positioning. And positioning always happens before visibility, not after it. This is why, in biblical patterns, the most significant shifts never started with public recognition. Joseph was not first seen as powerful. He was positioned through misunderstanding before elevation made sense. David was not introduced as a king in public spaces. He was positioned in obscurity before authority was visible. Esther did not appear in influence first. She was placed quietly before her moment of access ever arrived. And the pattern is always the same. First comes concealment, then comes repositioning, then comes recognition. So when someone says, "You're the one," in your absence, it is not emotional language. It is structural awareness catching up to positioning. It means your presence has already influenced decisions. You were not directly part of your name, has already entered conversations that shape outcomes before you arrive. Your impact has already been registered in environments where you were not physically present, even when you were not in the room, even when you were not actively trying to be noticed. And here is what most people misunderstand about this stage. You are not spoken about like this when you are simply lucky. Luck creates momentary attention, but positioning creates multi-directional relevance. That means your influence begins appearing in different places at once, without you controlling any of them directly. And when that happens, something becomes unavoidable. People start interpreting you differently, not because they have full understanding of you, but because your life has entered a phase where neutrality is no longer possible. And that is why conflict around perception increases. Because whenever alignment begins forming across multiple areas at the same time, opinions surface faster than clarity. And this is why it feels like all of this is happening now, not later, because positioning does not remain hidden indefinitely. There always comes a point where what has been forming quietly begins to press against time itself. Not to overwhelm you, but to reveal you. And you are entering that threshold, where things that were once private start becoming noticeable without effort, where patterns that were once isolated begin connecting across different areas of your life, where what felt like delay is now starting to feel like timing you did not control but cannot ignore. This is the stage where you stop being in preparation alone and start entering recognition. Not full exposure, not full clarity, but enough alignment for things around you to begin responding differently. And that is why the pressure feels different now, because what used to be forming beneath the surface is no longer staying beneath it. You are not being forgotten. You are being positioned in perception before you are positioned in reality. What you're calling delay is often the moment where life is forcing every environment around you to settle its opinion of you before your next level becomes visible. People are adjusting their internal judgment of you without telling you. Systems are responding to a version of you that hasn't fully manifested yet, but is already sensed. That's why things feel inconsistent. Some doors don't fully close, but they stop responding the same way. Some people don't leave, but their behavior shifts. Some opportunities don't disappear, but they stop flowing naturally. It creates a strange in-between space where nothing is fully yes, nothing is fully no. That is not rejection, that is sorting. And sorting always looks like instability to the person being sorted. Think about it like this. Before elevation becomes visible, environments recalibrate around capacity. In scripture patterns, this mirrors the season of David before kingship. He wasn't being ignored, he was being separated. He wasn't being delayed, he was being tested in silence while the throne was already aligned for him. The external crown came last, but the internal recognition was already active long before anyone publicly acknowledged it. That's what's happening in your case. You are not being evaluated based on your current output alone. You are being measured against a trajectory that others can already unconsciously sense, even if they cannot articulate it. That's why people around you sometimes overreact, withdraw, or suddenly reassess you without a clear reason. They are responding to pressure they don't understand. And here's the part most people misunderstand. Confusion is not proof that nothing is happening. Confusion is often the byproduct of transition between versions of you that others have not yet caught up to. So, when relationships feel uneven right now, when access feels unpredictable, when outcomes don't behave consistently, don't reduce it to emotional rejection. That interpretation is too small for what is actually occurring. You are in a recalibration phase where perception is catching up to identity, and the only thing that will feel stable in this phase is your direction, not your environment. So when you hear they're fighting over you, don't reduce it to some dramatic scene of people arguing or competing in a loud, obvious way. That's not what's actually happening most of the time. Think in quieter terms. Think in repositioning. People don't always fight over someone directly. More often, they adjust their stance around that person. They reassess. They hesitate. They revisit decisions they already made about you. They go back to conversations where your name came up and realize their earlier conclusion doesn't sit the same anymore. That's what changes first. Internal positioning before external behavior. And here's the part you need to understand clearly. Something about you is becoming harder to dismiss in rooms you're not even present in. Not because you became louder, not because you started proving yourself more aggressively, but because your outcomes, your consistency, your direction, they started creating pressure in places that previously didn't take you seriously. So now what used to overlook you can't stay neutral anymore. It has to respond. That response doesn't always look like praise or direct attention. Sometimes it looks like hesitation before someone replies to you. Sometimes it looks like people suddenly checking your progress. Sometimes it looks like delayed reactions where there used to be none at all. Sometimes it looks like people who were indifferent before, now quietly observing you more than they admit. And no, this isn't because you chased attention or forced visibility. It's because trajectory creates gravity, and gravity changes how people move around you without you saying a word. You don't need to manufacture anything next. You don't need to push harder just to secure what's already in motion. That mindset usually comes from misunderstanding the phase you're in. Right now, the real shift is not about effort. It's about interpretation. If you keep reading every delay as rejection, you'll exhaust yourself trying to fix what isn't broken. But if you start seeing movement correctly, you'll realize a lot of what felt like uncertainty was actually coordination, happening behind the surface. Because what feels like waiting from inside the moment often looks like alignment finishing its structure from outside it.